Good evening, everyone. It's Nick here again with the 80s hard rock CD collection. Just to recap, the last two videos I've done was Faster Pussycat, which is then there. And just recently we did Bon Jovi. Now, tonight we're going to look at a band called Poison. Now, a lot of you guys may remember them or may not remember them, but they were really big back in the day, really big. And they were one of those bands you could either love or you could hate them. A lot of critics wrote them off and said their music wasn't much. They were more concerned about their image, but other critics said they were fresh and they were vibrant and they were the new best thing. So anyway, you can make your own minds up, but I think they were great. And we'll start it off with, they actually started off in 1986. They released their first album, which is that. And yes, they are men on the front cover. They're fully decked out in makeup, but they're not women, they are men. That's the band there. Now, this was their first album, Look What the Cat Dragged In, as I said, released in 1986. Now, they had a few hit singles. One was Cry Tough, I Want Action, Look What the Cat Dragged In, Talk Dirty to Me. And they had a lot of their video clips on MTV back in the day. So that obviously helped them get noticed. This was an immediate success for them. They achieved multi-platinum album sales with this record, this album, and they toured with a band called Rat, which were an 80s band, and they've also toured with the likes of Motley Crue, Warrant. There's another band that they toured with, and I will do a bit of a special on Warrant sometime in the near future. Yeah, so Look What the Cat Dragged In, this album was an instant success, and they were touring relentlessly for it. Now, if we fast forward 2 years, we come to 1988, and they released their second album. Now, this second album was probably their most popular, and it sold a lot of copies. And it's called Open Up and Say Ah. Now, this was just huge, this album, and again, it produced so many hit singles like Nothing But a Good Time, Fallen Angel, Your Mama Don't Dance, and also the one song that was a major hit single from was called Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and that actually went number one on the American Billboard charts. So, I mean, it's a pretty good effort for a band that a lot of people sort of wrote off in a way, but they were proving everyone wrong, and this was just a massive album. And I'll quickly go through before I go on, I'll quickly go through the band members. There they are there. On the far left is C.C. DeVille, the guitarist. Sorry about that. On the next to him is the drummer, Ricky Rocket. And next to him is Bret Michaels, the lead singer. And next to him is Bobby Dole, the bass player. So there you go. And just a little bit of background, Bret Michaels and Ricky Rocket, they actually came from Pennsylvania. So Ricky Rocket, as I said, is the second from the left, and Bret Michaels is the third from the left. They actually came from Pennsylvania, and they were high school friends, so they'd known each other quite a while, and they wanted to form a band, and they knew that the only way to do it was to travel to Los Angeles, where other bands like Van Halen and Motley Crue were already making a name for themselves. And yeah, so they headed out to Los Angeles, and that's where they met Bobby Dole, the one on the far right, and they started putting the band together. Now, this band was originally going to be called Paris. They were going to name the band Paris, i.e. after the city in France. But they thought, nah, it's not edgy enough, it's not dangerous enough, so we'll call ourselves Poison. And there you go. And also another bit of information that a lot of people don't know this, actually. A lot of people do not know this, is that, sorry, I'll just get my other CD, is that Slash. Now, Slash is the lead guitarist from Guns N' Roses. You can see him lying down there wearing the top hat, and yeah, that's him there lying down with the blue jeans. Now, he actually auditioned as a guitarist for Poison, obviously before he joined Guns N' Roses, but Slash auditioned to be the guitarist, but they said no, they didn't want him, and it had nothing to do with his playing capabilities, nothing at all. It was the fact that he didn't fit their image. Yeah, he wasn't pretty enough, so to speak. He wasn't a pretty boy like the rest of them there. So yeah, so Slash from Guns N' Roses could have been the lead guitarist for Poison, which is a bit hard to believe, but yeah. So we had Open Up and Say 1988. Fantastic album, and it's a good fun album. It's just fun, and it's got fun songs. It's got the big choruses and the big guitars. It's just a good fun album, you know. It always puts a smile on my face. Okay, so that was 1988. Now we fast forward to 1990, and this is their third album, Flesh and Blood. And this again, it was a multi-platinum selling album. Poison just couldn't do any wrong. They could not do it wrong. And there's a photo shot of them. Now, this album, it didn't produce a lot of massive songs. The only two hit singles was Unskinny Bop and Something to Believe In. Now, the song Something to Believe In was just, it really showed Poison maturing in their songwriting and also in their playing. Well, this whole album shows it, actually. But Something to Believe In, the song, just, it's a sad song because it talks about Vietnam veterans coming back home and obviously having to face, the horrors that they went through in war and everything. And it also mentions Poison's security guard who looked after them for many years whilst they were on tour, and he tragically died in a hotel. So the song "Something to Believe In" was a very poignant, heartfelt song, and it showcased Poison, pretty much at their best. Now, they're the three albums of Poison. Now, they have released other albums. In 1994, they released another album called Native Tongue, and that actually featured a new guitarist. CC DeVille got thrown out of the band in 1991, and so they had to find another guitarist, and they found one, and they released the album in 1994. And that was a very mature album. But obviously 1994, the grunge period, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that were pretty big, so it didn't really get much of a showing, so to speak. They've released greatest hits albums and compilation albums and all that. And they released an album about 3-4 years ago. It was called Hollywood Weird. I actually haven't heard it. I haven't even heard any of the songs. So I'll be interested to hear that one day. Now also, there's big news going around that Poison, as well as another 80s great band, which I'll talk about soon, Def Leppard. There they are there, Def Leppard. And also Motley Crue, they're actually touring in the United States in July. All three bands, which would just be huge. in July in America. Now there's no talk of them going to England or Australia or Asia or anything like that. So, and also obviously with this virus, a lot of things are being cancelled. A lot of concerts are being cancelled. So we'll have to wait and see whether that tour actually goes ahead. But if it doesn't go ahead in July, I'm sure it will go ahead later on when everything is over, when this virus is over. So yeah, that's Poison, and they were just a good fun band. Really, they were just a great fun band, and they just had so many great songs, and they did really well for themselves. And yes, they went a bit overboard with the makeup there, but that was all part of the look. That was all part of the look back then, and that's why they called this music glam hard rock or hair metal. They called it hair metal bands, obviously because their hair was all teased up with a lot of hairspray and such. So yeah, Poison I always hold dear to my heart, Poison, and I still remember back in the 80s, a good friend of mine, we used to listen to, well, specifically this album. We just used to listen to it religiously. We used to ride on our BMX bikes, and we'd have a milk crate tied to the front of one of our bikes, and we'd have a portable cassette player, because back then we had to have cassettes, not CDs. Cassettes came in the late 80s, very early 90s. Sorry, CDs came in then. So yeah, we'd have a little cassette player and the Poison tape, and we'd play it from side A to side B, and they were great memories. So, yep, Poison I hold dear to my heart, and I hope you two do too, and hopefully it'll bring back a few memories, hopefully good memories and not embarrassing memories, but no, it's all good. So next time, the next band I'll talk about, introduce to, well, since I've got it out now, I may as well tell you the next band will be Def Leppard. So there's Def Leppard back in the 80s glory days. And yeah, so the next video I'll talk about Def Leppard, who were just magic, really. No, magic. So until then, thank you very much for watching. And as always, stay safe, everyone, and look after yourselves and look after each other. And also, equally as important, rock on. Thanks, bye.